The battle at the ancient city finally ended, and meanwhile, the scene shifts straight into the abyss. Abyssal flames burn slowly, rolling and twisting, until several demon lords step out of the fire. Their condition looks noticeably better, which clearly tells everyone they've fully recovered. Shadow Demon Lord takes a step forward and remarks with some regret that they still failed to kill Lin. The Demon Emperor, however, shows no anger at all. Instead, he calmly notes that they had done well, and further adds how Lin was able to escape inside the ancient city, and even took control of the Thunder Tower, so it was no surprise they weren't able to kill Lin. At that, the Fire Spirit Demon Lord drops to one knee, slams his fist into the ground, and firmly states they will look for another chance and absolutely carry out the Emperor's command next time. The Demon Emperor casually waved a hand, told them to leave, and just like that, all of them bowed and left. After they're gone, the Demon Emperor rubs his chin with curiosity, clearly puzzled by how Lin, at only level 53, possibly uses divine slaying thunder. Just then, a sudden thought crosses his mind, and he asks himself whether Lin might have gotten the Thunder God's inheritance. Anyway, the scene quickly cuts back to Lin. Feng advises him to stay inside the ancient city for the next few days. With the Thunder Tower protecting him, no one would dare covet his primordial rune anymore. Lin nods and agrees, noting that without the ancient city's help this time, he wouldn't have survived at all. 10 days pass in the blink of an eye. Inside our boy's room, a burst of red light suddenly erupts, piercing through the windows and lighting up the entire ancient city. Almost immediately, the system informs him that he has obtained a new skill called Overcharge. The skill allows him to gather the strength of a chosen summoned creature, inherit all of its skills, and merge part of its attributes for 5 minutes, with a 1-hour cooldown. After carefully reading the description, Lin finds it hard to judge how strong the skill really is. Still, once he considers the idea of using the Skelly's abilities himself, he wastes no time and shoots into the sky, and can't wait to test it out himself. Watching him leave the ancient city, everyone quickly realizes that Lin has successfully completed the fusion of his primordial rune. Feng laments in amazement, commenting that at such a young age, Lin already possesses 2 primordial runes, perhaps being the only person ever to achieve such a thing. Lin flies far into the distance before finally spotting a small group of monsters ahead. He lands slowly as the monsters let out low growls. Meanwhile, being calm and unhurried, he summons several little skeletons and then brings out his scythe. Without hesitation, he activates Overcharge. A brilliant light flares around his body. In the next moment, the skeletons behind him begin to fade away. Strange markings appear across Lin's face, and all 4 of his basic attributes skyrocket to 200,000 each. Even Lin himself is stunned. Power floods through his body, and he notes that his current attributes are, without exaggeration, higher than those of a world-level boss of the same level. Right then, a monster suddenly lunges at him. The kitty cat turned out to be a level 70 world boss. Its stats aren't exactly outstanding, but still add up to nearly 2 million. Lin lifts his scythe and casually remarks that it's a bit weak, but perfect for testing. And just like that, he unleashes Skeletal Berserker's Rampage Annihilation. The scythe cuts through the boss as easily as butter, slicing its body clean in half. Lin himself can hardly believe it. During Overcharge, he has just instantly killed a level 70 boss in close combat. Furthermore, it's hard to imagine how terrifying his damage would become if he stacked it with the Mighty Soldier buff. The only downside, he notes, is that both skills still have durations that are far too short. Moving on to the second skill, Lin raises his scythe and activates Elemental Explosion. A deafening blast erupts instantly, and a massive crater is carved straight into the ground. But Lin isn't done yet. Meanwhile, he casually pulls a random bow from his storage space and uses the Sharpshooter skill Soul Lock. Since the skill guarantees a hit, striking a distant monster isn't surprising at all. What actually surprised him was the sheer power behind the shot. The arrow pierces straight through one of the monster's bodies, and Lin can't help but smile. At that moment, he suddenly feels so much more connected to his skellies. Then all of a sudden, he had an even more exciting idea. Our boy realizes he might even be able to inherit the Lich General's skills. If it works the way he's hoping, then not only can he apply powerful buff abilities, but he could also cure corpse poison altogether. The idea alone sends a surge of excitement through him. He leaps into the air, convinced this might actually work. He reflects that the potential of this skill is probably far greater than anything he's imagined so far. In fact, he firmly believes it has a much higher ceiling. Anyway, to keep digging deeper into its limits, he decides to pay another visit to the secret realm. Debris from the shattered fortress still litters the area around the entrance. Lin takes a deep breath and slowly steps inside. Once inside, towering mountains stretch endlessly before his eyes. Without hesitation, he lifts off into the air, searching for whatever secret the dragon was trying to hide here. Before long, he spots a small fortress in the distance and descends carefully. The moment his feet touch the ground, the entire fortress begins to shake violently. Suddenly, a massive formation appears in the sky, and he instantly senses danger and hurriedly summons all of his skeletons. Moments later, a violent explosion sends Lin and the skeletons flying far away. The force is so overwhelming that even his skeletal armor can't withstand it. Lin immediately realizes he had let his guard down and admits he hadn't expected the dragon to hide a self-destruct formation here. Without wasting a second, he takes to the air again, knowing too well the formation has to be destroyed first. But just then, the nearby pond begins to bubble violently. In the next instant, a gigantic serpent bursts out and lunges straight at him. Our boy activates detection spell and reveals it to be a level 80 iron scale python. Lin dodges the attack with ease, but he's heard of this creature before. It's said to be a monster native to the dragon world, but he was surprised to see the dragons manage to tame one of them. Furthermore, an iron scale python of this level would be incredibly rare, and clearly this secret realm is far more dangerous and far more interesting than he originally thought. After missing his strike, the giant python slips back into the water. Lin looks down again, and only then notices countless dark shadows moving beneath the surface. Clearly, there's more than just one monster lurking below. Still, this only confirms his suspicion. The secret the dragon is hiding is definitely in this water. That said, before dealing with that, he knows he has to destroy the formation first. Lin immediately activates overcharge and dashes toward a massive crystal. He swings his scythe down hard, slicing it cleanly in half in an instant. Unfortunately, there are far too many crystals. Working alone is simply too slow, so he quickly orders the little skeletons to join in. Before long, every crystal floating in the air is completely shattered. Just as he finishes, Lin catches sight of something out of the corner of his eye. A crack is appearing in the sky. It looks exactly the same as the one created earlier by the Demon Emperor. Before he can react further, a hand suddenly reaches out from the crack. In the next scene, two figures step through. Once Lin sees their faces, he finally relaxes a bit and remarks that they have finally shown up. Meanwhile, the iron-scale python slithers over to the two dragons, flicking its tongue and pressing close to the dragon commander with a clearly aggrieved look. The commander reaches out and gently strokes the python's jaw, making it even more affectionate. At that point, the other dragon steps forward and speaks up. He first confirms that the person standing before them is indeed Lin. Then he introduces himself, stating that he is an ancestral bloodline-awakened dragon warrior, and his name is Tatar, level 80. Shortly after, the dragon commander who had run away from our boy earlier also introduces himself as Tashel, a dragon ancestral bloodline-awakened knight level 75. Lin merely smirked and asked why a defeated foe would have the audacity to appear before him again. Tashel shrugs it off and says losing once is no big deal, adding that killing their way back is what matters. He admits that even their formation failed to kill Lin, which only proves how strong Lin really is. Still, he remarks that he and his brother enjoy nothing more than slaughtering prodigies, especially human prodigies. Tatar then joins in the conversation and goes as far as saying he'll turn Lin's head into an accessory and wear it on his chest at all times, a constant reminder of his own strength. With that, he draws his sword, and his aura erupts outward. At the same time, the iron-scale python coils around him, ready to strike at any moment. Meanwhile, Tatar steps onto the python's head. The weapon in his hand begins to glow as he calmly announces that, out of respect for Lin, he will kill him using his strongest power. Immediately after, Tatar activates his ancestral awakening skill. His body and the python beneath his feet begin to transform at the same time. A massive dragon phantom rises into the air. Lin's expression finally changes as he realizes Tatar's ancestral power is completely different from Tashel's. Furthermore, compared to dragons like Antares, this dragon phantom doesn't resemble a typical dragon in this world at all. Instead, it looks strikingly similar to the Eastern divine dragons Lin remembers from Earth. He quickly tries to piece everything together, from the primordial runes to the dragon's ancestral bloodlines, and can't help but wonder whether this world has some hidden connection to Earth after all. Tatar, however, mistakes Lin's shock for fear. He bursts into laughter and asks whether Lin has been scared senseless. He proudly declares that the phantom is their dragon's ancestor, and remarks that one day, he too will fully return to his origins and transform into a true divine dragon. Tatar lets out a thunderous roar and charges straight at Lin, swinging his weapon as hard as he can. Lin snaps out of his thoughts and meets the attack head-on. His scythe crashes into Tatar's weapon, yet Lin feels no pressure at all. It quickly becomes clear that in his overcharged state, he can fully handle an enemy of this level. Tatar bursts into wild laughter, calls our boy a human brat, and declares that he is as good as dead. Tashel isn't late to the fight either. He moves in and tells his brother that he's joining the battle. However, Tatar immediately stops him, stating that he will kill Lin alone. With that, Tatar swings again. This time, the force sends Lin sliding backward through the air. Lin instantly counters by using skeletal prison. Several bone shackles shoot out in an instant, rushing toward Tatar from all directions. Tatar merely lets out a smug smirk. He remarks that a few bones are nowhere near enough to trap him. Then he slowly raises one hand, revealing his own primordial rune, all the while announcing that he has one too.